Countries are picking Canada instead of America. Here's what's happening to the United States, and China made a deal to stop fighting about trade until American farmers are losing more business. Around the world every year, the way things get shipped from place to place isn't working like it usually does. Ship docks in Seattle are empty, trucks in Detroit are only half full and have to turn around and go back, and in Ottawa, Canada, people shook hands on a deal that changed 75 years of how countries trade with each other. For the first time in a really long time, Canada is taking America's place, not with just one country, but with 7 countries, friends, partners. And whole countries that used to send their stuff through American ports are now skipping America completely and sending their boo. Send us to Canada instead. That it's happening so. Test that the people who study money and trade can't even keep track. And if this keeps going, the problems won't just be on the news. Regular people will see it in their paychecks, on store shelves, and in whole job industries that in this video. We're going to count down the 7 countries that just picked Canada instead of the U.S. And when we get to number 1, you'll see the country that scares Washington the most. The big good view in being loyal became a problem. Picture the meeting rooms where these big decisions were made. Trade ministers from 11 different countries, each looking at the same answer. America had become more trouble than it was worth. This wasn't a planned attack. It was something more dangerous. Countries naturally moving away from American markets toward Canadian ones, like water flowing down the easiest path. The math tells a story that government officials won't say out loud. $127 billion worth of trade every year got moved from American ports to Canadian ones in just 18 months. That's not just normal market changes. That's people giving up on America completely. But here's what makes this crisis totally new. These 11 countries didn't just find different suppliers, they found a better partner. Canada offered something America had forgotten how to give, being predictable, showing respect, and building relationships that help both sides instead of just letting America be the boss. As Chile started the exodus by sending their farm products elsewhere, Jamaica changed their whole plan for North America. Germany now treats Canada as their main friend on this continent. Each country that leaves makes it easier for the next one to leave too, creating momentum that might be impossible to stop. The pattern shows up in shipping papers, customs records, and business reports that all paint the same terrible picture. America's trade relationships aren't just getting worse, they're being actively replaced by better choices, and it's happening faster and faster. Chile, the fruit that messed up American supply chains, on breaks over California's Central Valley, where empty food processing buildings cast long shadows across fruit farms that used to compete with Chilean agriculture. Those same Chilean grapes, berries, and citrus fruits now skip American markets completely, going straight to Canadian distribution networks that offer something American importers couldn't anymore. Efficiency without politics. That the change started quietly in early 2025 when American agricultural inspections became weapons in bigger trade fights. Chilean exporters watched their expensive fruit rot in American ports while government workers played games with food safety papers. Canada responded with open ports and simple rules. The numbers show how badly America lost in agriculture. Chilean fruit exports to Canada went up 22%, while American imports dropped 15% in the same 3 months. But those numbers hide the deeper damage to how things work. Walmart Canada now buys directly from Chilean cooperatives that used to feed American supermarket chains. Distribution centers in Vancouver and Calgary handle fruit shipments that used to move through Los Angeles and Houston. Canadian shoppers get fresher Chilean produce at lower prices while American stores scramble to replace missing products. But the real damage is in the infrastructure built around those trade relationships. American port facilities designed for Chilean imports now work at reduced capacity. Trucking companies that specialized in cross-border Chilean logistics face downsizing. Food processing plants that depended on Chilean raw materials wonder if they should keep operating. The ripple effect spread backward through American agricultural communities. Farmers who competed with Chilean imports suddenly face different pressures as processing facility as close and distribution networks break apart. Chile didn't just change suppliers. It rebuilt its entire North American strategy around a partner that treated agricultural trade as business rather than as a weapon. How many other countries are watching Chile's success and planning their own exit strategies? Jamaica, the Caribbean, runs away from American red tape. Steel drums echo across Kingston's harbor, but the ships they're loading don't sail toward Miami or Houston anymore. They're going to Halifax and Toronto, carrying Jamaican rum, bananas, and tropical products that used to fill American shelves. The breaking point came when FDA inspection rules turned 12-day shipping schedules into month-long. Ordeals, Jamaican. Exporters watched their products spoil in American ports, while red tape processes designed for following rules became tools of economic strangling. Fresh bananas turned brown in shipping containers. Rum shipments piled up storage fees that cost more than the profit they could make. Cold storage broke down under inspection delays that treated Jamaican agriculture like a security threat. Canada offered something revolutionary: pre-clearance. Agreements that respected both quality standards and business realities. The change happened incredibly fast. Within 6 months, Jamaica restructured its entire North American export strategy around Canadian logistics networks. Toronto replaced Miami as the main Caribbean distribution hub for North American markets, Metro. Grocery chains doubled the Caribbean. Product offerings: Air Canada cargo planes carry more freight to Kingston than passenger luggage from tourists. Jamaican agricultural exports to the United States dropped 18%, while Canadian imports shot past. Historical records, but the psychological impact cuts deeper than logistics. Jamaica's government now calls Canada its preferred logistics hub for North America, language that would have been diplomatic heresy 5 years ago. Trade officials speak openly about reliability, predictability, and mutual respect as factors in their strategic pivot. The signal to other Caribbean nations is clear. American dominance in regional trade is no longer inevitable. Alternatives exist, better alternatives, when America's closest neighbors start exploring those alternatives. The foundation of hemispheric influence begins cracking. Germany, when Europe's industrial heart stopped beating for America. Bavarian cheese that used to grace Manhattan delicatessens now stocks Toronto specialty stores exclusively. German engineering products that built American infrastructure projects now flow to Canadian construction sites without touching American ports. This wasn't about tariffs or trade wars. It was about respect. When American customs officials began treating German food exports like contraband, demanding excessive documentation, imposing arbitrary compliance audits, questioning the integrity of European quality standards. Germany's Agricultural Export Authority made a calculated decision. Why tolerate American bureaucratic hostility when Canada offered partnership? The numbers show how big Germany's strategic withdrawal was. Processed meat, dairy, and specialty food exports to Canada increased 28%, while American imports faced regulatory obstacles that made business relationships impossible. But food was just the beginning. German automotive parts, precision machinery, and industrial equipment began flowing through Canadian ports to avoid American regulatory uncertainty. Manufacturing facilities in Ontario became staging areas for German technology that used to enter North America through American distribution networks. Canadian cities like Hamilton and Laval transformed into logistics hubs for German industrial exports. Companies that spent decades building American market relationships discovered that Canadian alternatives offered superior service without political complications. The symbolic impact resonates across European trade relationships. When Germany, Europe's industrial powerhouse, treats Canada as its preferred North American partner, other European nations take notice. French wine exports soon followed the same pattern. South Korea, the tech titan, strategic pivot. Samsung Electronics, meant for Best Buy warehouses, now stock Canadian retailers exclusively. Korean instant noodles that built brand loyalty across American college campuses sit in Canadian distribution centers while American stores face empty shelves. The catalyst wasn't competition. It was contempt, new American packaging and labeling. Restrictions treated Korean food products like foreign contaminants rather than consumer goods. Shipments worth millions of dollars sat in American ports while bureaucrats debated regulatory compliance for products that had been safely consumed for decades. South Korea's response was swift and surgical. $150 million in food exports redirected from American markets to Canadian alternatives in 5 months. Costco Canada signed exclusive distribution deals with Korean food manufacturers who had grown tired of American regulatory games. Metro Vancouver saw Korean products outsell American alternatives for the first time in commercial. History: Canadian. Food retailers launched Korean food expansion programs while American chains struggled with supply.